Welcome to the Gruber Morning Show. This is the Tesla Roadster version of our show. I'm Pete Gruber.
I'm Mark Schaffner. Good morning. Welcome, everybody.
First thing we wanted to show you was, do you notice my shirt? Get a little tighter on that. There we go. Our service manager, Silk Screens, and he's always giving us different types of shirts. Yeah, there we go. And anyway, this is one of them. If you like it, these will eventually show up on our e-store. For now, though, it's just samples.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites, I have to admit. Don't panic.
What's the background behind us is actually from the Swiss Tesla Owners Club. STOCK is the acronym, as they call themselves. Whoops, we went dead here. Are we okay? Okay, we've got a little bit of a glitch here if you can hear us but can't see us. Hopefully audio is there. And there we go. We're back. All right. Tesla, the Swiss Tesla Owners Club, STOCK, which did an event a year ago for the most EVs at any one location. I think that record may have been broken by then because it was a year ago, but they had some splendid pictures. And what amazed me, the reason I featured this in this podcast, in this Roadster podcast, is the number of Roadsters that these guys were able to attract to this event. And we'll get into that in a moment here. But first thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about was Marco Nolte in Germany is still working on his Tesla Roadster replacement battery pack. And he's making progress. There's a picture we can pop up here, guys. Marco-1. And what he was saying is he had some bad weather during the weekend, this last weekend, I guess. So he decided to finish the implementation of the DC fast charging into the new aftermarket battery solution. And yeah, you can see some of that weather there. That's what Germany looks like most of the time, actually.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. My wife is in San Diego right now, and she texted me this morning. She says, guess what? It's 65 degrees here. And it was, 98 by the time I got up this morning. We're going for 115 today?
116 at least today.
Oh,
The
really?
last 2
Okay.
days prior to today were 118 each.
Wow. Okay. And no reprieve through the weekend, I understand.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, we're envious, even though the weather to them might seem gloomy and rainy. It certainly would be welcome news here. But we only get a couple, 3 months of this, so we live with it.
Yeah.
So what Marco's showing here is he's got his black Roadster, and he's got a thick, heavy cable going into the battery pack, and he's doing DC fast charging. He says that it's still a prototype on the hardware side, but it's fully integrated CCS2 charging and compliant to the standard. So he's so he has a locking actuator, surveillance pin, and temperature monitoring. It's limited to 30 kW still, but that's just because his house fuse would blow otherwise. You had mentioned how much current he's drawing out of his house.
Well, I mean, 30 kilowatts, that's 30,000 watts of power you're drawing out of your house. Here in the States, most homes have a maximum of about 40,000 watts of power that can be delivered at any one time.
And that's for everything in the house.
And that's for everything, air conditioning and lights and refrigerators and everything.
Mm-hmm. So he's asking for the community to chime in. What he's looking for is some ideas about where the best place for an inlet would be. And there were some people that piped up because Tony Williams with QC Charge has the same type of product, and he's actually mounted his underneath the license plate on the grill portion there.
Okay.
And, on the old Mopars, they actually put the gas cap or the gas inlet behind the license plate. And when I bought my first 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner, it was very low on gas, and I went to the gas station, and I was really embarrassed because for about 10 or 15 minutes, I keep walking around the car looking for the inlet. And finally, some old-timer came over and said, it's behind the license plate. So he showed me how to fold it down as hinged, right?
Why do they not still do that? I just got to wonder.
Yeah, I mean, behind the license plate is wasted space if you think about it.
It totally is, and it's such an elegant engineering solution because your gas tank usually is sitting right there near the back of the car anyway.
Good point. Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
right there. Yeah. So anyway, for any of you that may have some ideas for Marco, he's on a couple of Facebook sites. You can certainly reach him there. And that picture that we threw up there, let's do a second picture where he's actually showing, and this is Marco 2. He's showing where he feeds the DC into the replacement battery pack that he's developed. Normally, the back of that doesn't have that big opening, but on his battery pack it does. And you can tell that he's definitely a experimenter. There's some wiring harness stuff that's going on there, and eventually he'll have a socket for that DC fast charge. There's one final image that we want to do. It's Marco-DC charge, and here he's showing a DC charger that is actually feeding electrons into his Tesla Roadster. So proof that this stuff works. I emailed him after he posted some of these pictures, and he says it's funny how simple it's been to implement the CCS2 charging in the end. He said first he tried the Model S PLCRLY because it was cheap, but that turned out to be a waste of time. Then he switched to some other ECU from a fast charging engineering company there in Germany. And he says, as everything already has been prepped, we had our own BMS and ECU in the pack, and it took just 30 minutes. He then gets into our design. We're still working on the NACS conversion for the Tesla Roadster,
Right.
and we ran into a snag. After consulting with Henry Sharp, who is the originator of the CAN products, the CAN adapters, very knowledgeable, actually got a lot of support from Tesla early on. And he's basically the godfather of Tesla Roadster charging. He was describing to us a condition where a hot disconnect would affect the quality of the pins because you'd get some arcing.
Sure.
So he suggested, using both the locking mechanism to prevent them from, pulling out the plug, the NACS plug, and in some way using the UHF signal that disables the charging when you're ready to pull out the plug. You push that little, button.
Yeah. Push the little button, the UHF signal.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be so much better on the superchargers than it is on any home charger.
Right. So, you know what? We started to work with Henry on this project, and it makes perfect sense because, after all, he being the godfather of Tesla Roadster charging improvements, he also mentioned that, this product is going to cut into some of my CAN sales. And it's true. Why would people need an adapter if they can plug a NACS cable into the Roadster? So, again, we're working with him. It's a testament, really, to the Roadster community, who usually chip in to keep the car alive and continue improving it. So look for more information. We don't have it solved yet. We're still dealing with the original vendor of the pigtails, and we'll have a solution hopefully soon.
I'm hoping so.
So a question came up. Actually, there's some questions up on our screen here. Let's do that first then.
Yeah, TikTok. Ramazan says hello.
Welcome.
You're welcome. Instagram, Laser Service Solution 1 asks, do replacement packs use cells?
Well, Marco actually has a couple of designs, and the first one that he went with was using Porsche Taycan modules.
Mm-hmm.
The difficulty there was going to be, will Porsche sell someone modules to build something for the Tesla Roadster?
Right.
And that was unproven and untested at the point in time. And then he was also working on a multi-cell solution like what's in the Roadster now, a lithium-ion multi-cell solution. There are companies that are making bricks, basically, and Marco has the ability to actually reprogram. That's one of his gifts.
Right.
So the problem that the rest of us had was the integration. Yeah, we can if we can get 99 bricks, which matches what the hardware and the circuit boards are expecting in the firmware, then it's almost a no-brainer. You just simply then focus on charging, curves and things like that. But in Marco's case, he's going to be able to actually use fewer bricks if necessary and create something possibly even lighter or a range of options for the Tesla Roadster.
It's really intriguing option for the whole idea of just replacing 99 bricks with 99 bricks. I know that just based on our conversations in the past and what I've heard from the guys at Gruber Motors, though, it's not necessarily as simple as that,
Hmm.
because you're going to have different charge profiles based on the different types of batteries that you have, and those different charge profiles are going to require software or possibly even hardware updates. I mean, otherwise, when Tesla went to their R80 pack, they would have just put the new pack in, and there you go.
Yeah, they actually end up changing the DMC board, which is a microprocessor. It's the brains of the power
Hmm.
electronics module. Um, so yeah, there are some changes necessary, and people like Marco can certainly do this. All right, we had a Swedish customer that piped up on one of the Facebook sites, and he asked whether he can use his TS70 wall charger, the Tesla Roadster 70 amp wall charger, um, for his Roadster, and the insurance company said, no, it has to be a Mode 3 charger. And so he needed to prove to them that that this TS70 has Mode 3 capabilities. So if we can throw up a few images here, Jesse, we've got the charging Mode 1 picture, for example, and we're going to list all 4 of these charging methods.
These modes are so fascinating.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to enlarge mine here so I can read that a bit better. There we go. With this type of charging, they say there's no protective measures that allow control and communication with the electric car. So you essentially are just simply plugging in directly. And it is prohibited as a result in most countries because the safety elements are missing.
Sure.
Now, the next one is the, for me here, yeah, charging mode 2. And that is a where the charging station is not hardwired to the building's power supply. This is comparable to your yellow charge cable that you use with a Tesla Roadster. You can plug it into a 120-volt socket and then into the car.
And then this might also be like the Model S cables for the more modern cars as well.
Correct. Yes.
And they can plug it into a 120 or a 240 socket.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it can easily be removed from the wall mounting plate and used on the move. So you can take it with you. And in this case, it does have on the Tesla Roadster, there is a slide switch that disables the pilot signal, which then tells the car that it is no longer able to charge. It shuts things down, basically.
Ah, okay.
Now, mode 3, go to that, and this is what the insurance company in this case required. It is, they say, the most common charging mode for charging with AC, alternating current being converted to DC inside the car or inside the power electronics module in this case. They say charging in mode 3 works similarly to charging in mode 2, except that the wall box is hardwired to the building's power supply. No plug, no socket.
Okay, so that's the difference. So any of the here in the US, any of the wall-mounted charging systems, you've got Go EV, you've got Juicebox, NLX is one of them. We've got Clipper Creek. Now the not the TS70 because that's a little different, but a lot of these plug into a 240 volt socket. And that would make them mode 2, even though they're not technically portable because they are not hardwired into the building.
So the question became then, is the TS70 a mode 3? And I pointed out, yes, it was. And then, of course, like most insurance companies, they came back with an additional requirement. And that requirement was it must be IEC 61851-1 compliant. What about that? And it turns out this was a standard that evolved after the charging systems were developed for the Roadster many years ago. But the requirement for this standard is that it provides bidirectional communication and shutting down if there's a problem in the car being charged.
Okay.
And it does meet that requirement. So hopefully the insurance company will not obligate this owner then to buy something more current, because as you mentioned, that TS70 charger is one hell of a charging system.
Oh yeah, it's probably one of the most powerful charging systems on the market. Now, did we said there are 4 modes for these charging? What is mode 4?
Fourth is DC charging.
So that's the supercharger or other fast charging.
Exactly. And what that requires, of course, in your home, if you had one, it could be wall mounted. It would be a power supply or have a rectifier in it that would convert the AC to DC right there in the box and then give you a DC fast charge of your car. Okay. We've got some other images to pop up here. This is an image from VIN number 209. Dave Fink's car, his Roadster in California. And he happened upon a black Cybertruck, which happens to be the same color as his VIN 209. And here you can see the two of them together. What I was envious about was he's in Orange County. And take a look at the rolling hills. And I know they've got much nicer weather than we do right now.
Yeah.
There we go. And yeah, you can see begin to see the size differences between these cars. The next image, Dave Fink -2, shows them side by side. And I love his license plates.
Yeah.
By the way, B4 Elon. And then the third image, you can really get a much better perspective of the size differences between those two cars. So Cybertruck sightings here in Arizona, at least, are becoming more prevalent. California is probably going the same way. But nonetheless, there's still a curiosity. Whenever I see one on the road, you see people's necks craning, and you see them at fast food places. People gather around, and at car shows, they're always a big hit.
Oh, definitely are. And they're definitely a durable vehicle. I saw something on my Facebook feed this last week of a Ford Mustang changing lanes and not looking, and ran into the side of a Cybertruck. And then you see it through the Cybertruck's camera, and the Ford Mustang takes off, just hit and run style. And you see there's rear quarter panel damage, and the rear fender is bent in. And for the Cybertruck, it was black wrapped like that one. All they had to do is change the wrap.
Oh my God, you're serious?
I'm totally serious. Did not touch the Cybertruck at all. It had, because it was a white Mustang, it had white paint on the wrap, and they simply pulled it off, rewrapped the side door, and went on the way.
So it actually reduces collision damage costs as well.
Yes, it does.
You could factor that in. Yeah. So thanks, Dave, for posting. Yep, cool shots there, and yeah, you can definitely get a vision of the scale. We had one in our service center, and with a whole bunch of Roadsters around it, and they kind of look like little insects around this big Cybertruck, you know? All
we
right.
have a couple of questions for us today on TikTok. Byrne has sent us a thumbs up, so thank you very much. Lysergic Banger on TikTok asks, is the 2.0 SpaceX package for the new Roadster going to be a real thing?
You know, we're hearing that. We're in the same boat that the rest of you are. Tesla does not quite feed us direct information like that, and even the employees we talk to really don't know. You know, they keep that close to the chest. So, but with as much promotion as they've done about that concept or that capability, I can't imagine it's not real.
I think there's going to be some form of that out there, definitely. Highlander on YouTube has joined us again. He says, it's good to be informed about the next conversion, especially regarding the VWs that my sister and her husband own. Definitely. And he continues and says, during the break, by the way, Pete, he sent the camping picture to you on your personal email.
Oh, thank you. We'll use that in the next podcast, Highlander. Thank you very much for that. He also says England and Australia are doing fantastic work in this regard.
If we go back and we're looking at the charging modes, and the DC charging, I think that might be what it was.
Might be. Okay.
One of those two things.
Well, thank you for participating. Another item I've got for you here, there are some social media portals that you can get information about the Tesla Roadster. And there are a couple that are most prominent. The one that we're heavily involved in is the Tesla Roadster Owners Group. Can you pop that up, Jesse? There's an image by that name. And it is on Facebook. And what I wanted to do was describe this Facebook site to you a bit, called TROG, T-R-O-G, Tesla Roadster Owners Group. I usually abbreviate. Too much of a mouthful the other way. And what you'll see here is what the site looks like on Facebook. There are 629 members currently, and if you notice, the owners word is heavily highlighted. And the reason for that was the originator of this site years ago was Dr. Ian Tarras, T-A-R-R-A-S. He started the group, and he wanted to create a group that was drama-free, that was for owners only.
Mm-hmm.
We've since then modified that a bit because we've noticed that if we let the Tesla people in, both ex-Tesla and current people, they have a lot of valuable inputs about the Roadster because they basically lived with them back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So today, for you to join requires a 4-digit VIN, the last 4 digits of your VIN. And if you're Tesla, just tell us you're Tesla, and we will let you into this site. A lot of people chime in. It's a place to get tech support information. It's a place to get updates about events. And it is spam-free. It's well moderated by 8 moderators and admins. And I wanted to thank everyone for helping keep this site running well. And it's been growing again now. We about 6 months ago, we were at 600. Now we've got 29 additional members, all Roadster owners, and a few Tesla people thrown in. So the people that help moderate this site, first is David Pilo. He used to be in UK. He's now in Leiden in the Netherlands. And he is a Roadster owner. He just threw up some pictures last week, which we featured in the Netherlands. They are organizing events, and the Roadster, commitment is as strong as ever. Then we have Renee Miller Swenson. We've got another image we can throw up here, Jesse. It's TROG-2, and we can see who some of these people are. Renee and her husband, Eric, actually owned Tesla Roadster VIN 500, which was the last of the 1.5 Roadsters, and it was a custom copper color. It was a salvage car. It took for 6 months, 9 months or so to sell on the matchmaking site.
Mm-hmm.
They eventually sold it. And the reason it was salvaged is a very minor amount of damage. He was driving on the freeway one day, and a landscaper trailer in front of him was bouncing a bit, and a rock the size of a golf ball fell off of this trailer. It was bouncing a bit, and it hit the bottom of the car, and it put a hole in the floorboard on the driver's side as a result. I'm sorry, it was a pipe. I got that wrong. It was not a ball. The what was round was the size of the hole. The pipe was bouncing. So he ended up taking it to Tesla back then, and they said, well, you're going to need a new frame. The insurance company then paid out. He bought the car back, and he ended up taking it to a sheet metal shop, and they put an aluminum plate underneath there with some pop rivets underneath the carpet.
And it's done.
It's done. Problem was, though, it now was a salvage vehicle because of the insurance deeming it a total loss. Well, that really hurt the car's reputation, even though it was a custom color, which, copper, which was a Lotus color. And it was the last of the 1.5 Roadsters. It took forever to sell that poor car. It finally went into new ownership. But that's a story on the Swensons. They actually did own a Roadster at one point. Then we've got Tony Williams. He's a moderator. He's with QC Charge. He is an innovator. The latest stuff he's working on was on the Tesla Model S's on the drive motors.
Mhm.
He's got a, coolant delete product that actually helps prevent damage to the inverter and to the motor. Prior to that, he developed, him and his team, the DC fast charging for the Tesla Roadster. So he's truly an innovator. He currently does service work both up in Portland, Oregon, and in SoCal. Jason Knapp, he's the founder of Crafted Pour. I don't know if he has a Roadster. Jason, if you're watching, let us know. Tom Greiner, he's in Palo Alto, California. Tom is a Roadster historian. Anything that you need to know about Roadster, he has information on. He has one of the largest libraries of pictures, images of all of the VIN numbers, and definitely one of those that is dedicated to the cause. Then we've got Ben Weiss, who is also a longtime Tesla Roadster owner. He owned VIN number 108, and it just sold on our matchmaking site. He contributes. He's a moderator on the site, and he's very Roadster knowledgeable. He's a senior software engineer at Google, actually.
Wow.
And then we have Chelsea Sexton. You may have heard that name. She is an electric car advocate. She has also been featured on the documentary film Who Killed the Electric Car? So we have definitely some knowledgeable and skilled people on that Tesla Roadster site. Looks like we've got some questions coming in.
Yeah, Na at Cl. I wonder if that means sodium at chloride. Says high quality live. Well, thank you, and thanks to Jesse and the team. They really outdo themselves in putting together a great broadcast here.
Mm-hmm.
On YouTube, Highlander says yes. On his prior comment, I was referring to my cousins overseas and their charging networks.
Oh, that was the confusion we had earlier.
That was the confusion we had earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the image behind us is from the Swiss Tesla Owners Club, one of their events with lots of roadsters. They have 1,000 owners or members on the stock team. And of course, nowadays it's all of the later cars as well as the original roadsters. But the club was founded in the summer of 2012. And it was founded by 6 enthusiastic Tesla drivers, all of them Roadster owners at the time. Some of the founders: Corinne Aschleman, Giovanni Serfeda, Nico de Curtens, Andreas von Sprecher, Pierre Yule, and Oliver Weidman. The club president, or there have been a number of them, is Stefan Schwartz. He was the president 2012 to 17. Rolf Schatzman, 2018, Ben Kaiser, 2019, and the current president is Sasha Whitman, who owns Very Orange Tesla 922. We have some pictures here, Jesse. Let's go through that folder and just start popping some up, and then I'll tell you when these pictures were taken. These were from an event in last year, July 8th, 2013, and it was at that time the largest electric car parade in the world. There are a number of images here, and you can see the, let's go to the next one. There we go. That is Stefan Schwarzmann, who was president at the time, and he's on his cell phone talking about a Tesla Roadster, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
And you can see it wasn't just Roadsters, but in some of these images, you'll get an idea of how many Roadsters were at this event. And I think at one point I counted like 20 of them or so.
Wow.
I want the Segway in the background of this one. You see the off-road tires on that thing?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This was in Basel, Switzerland. And of course, beautiful during the summertime there. Yeah, here we are. We're starting to get into some of the Roadsters that attended this. Now, you may be asking yourself, where are these guys getting all these Roadsters serviced? Well, Tesla, of course, but there is a service organization called GS Technology. And it is in Thurgau, which is on Lake Constance, Bodensee, as it's called in Europe, the German name for it. And these guys, it's Rico Sonderegger and Martin Gann. They founded the company in 2007. And they repair Tesla Roadsters along with doing other engineering work. They even do work for Porsche, I understand, doing engineering work. But they are instrumental in keeping Roadsters running in that territory. They also developed, and this shows you some of their engineering expertise, they also developed a replacement for the 400-volt HVAC controller for the 2.0 Roadsters. Those are modules that represent a real challenge in that the original manufacturer is no longer in production on those. So what we end up having to do at Gruber Motor Company is rebuilding them, repairing them, right down to component level.
Mm-hmm.
What GS has been able to do is actually improve on the 400-volt controller that goes into a 2.0 Roadster, 2.x Roadster. And what we do is basically the same thing, but we retrofit the existing one to make it waterproof, first of all. That's one of the biggest problems. But that's who keeps most of these Swiss Roadsters running there.
Okay, do you want me to keep going through these, or you want to
keep
talk
going.
about the company?
Yeah,
because we want to talk about these pictures too, right?
Yeah, keep going. Well, what we're going to see, of course, is just lots of Roadsters, and you can tell the colors there. There are a lot of yellows in there. This guy's got an e-bike, it looks like, or e-motorcycle. There's one Roadster that will show up here that is a unique color, and I remember Peter Mildrexler talking about, oh, look at all of those Roadsters there lined up. But this particular color is nothing that we have in the U.S. It was a one of. This is the brilliant yellow, by the way. Very orange. You know, a couple of the owners. And some of the other EVs that were at this event. You can tell a lot of pride of ownership there. Insane green in the front. And let me see if I can find the picture that we're looking for that has the unique color. I'm in the wrong folder here. Oh, look at them all lined up there.
Wow.
It starts
That's
with
the last one.
It starts with 1025819.
I mean, we've already looked at it. Then let me go
we
find
probably
it.
Go
have
backwards a little bit.
1025819, and this is sort of a turquoise color. I guess that would be the best way to describe it.
It's a unique blue color for sure.
Yeah. There is a backstory here. If any of you watching know more about this Roadster, please chime in. There we go. That's that unusual color that I did not recognize.
It is a Roadster Sport. It's not any of the colors that we know of.
Yeah. So we've got a bunch of comments coming in here. Ray Johnson says, of all the Roadsters currently on your matchmaking site, what top 3 would you buy today and why? Good question. We have validation prototype number 24, the teacup Roadster.
Mm-hmm.
Any validation prototype is collectible right off the bat because they weren't supposed to be sold. We have Founders number 3, which was reserved for VIPs, with its mate, Founders number 3, Model S. Those are highly collectible. Then we have validation prototype number 30 for sale on that site. So in terms of collectability, those rank right up there. Now I've got my VIN number 5 up there, signature VIN number 5, but you won't like the price because I'm not that motivated to sell. It's out there for $1.25 million.
Right.
Well, one of these days somebody may come along and then I have to make a decision. Do I want to sell it? But anything that is signature, that is VP, EP, or Founder Series cars, those are the ones that are going to be in most demand and the ones that are instantly collectible.
I think if I had to choose 3, I would choose one of the 2 insane greens. Nothing quite like how they stand out. We do. We have 2 insane greens. One is in Norway, and the other one I was just looking at here is also in Europe, and I just lost it, but that's okay. I would love that. We have of course, probably my favorite color of all the Roadsters, and I'm not seeing it right here. There it is. A 2010 Roadster in McLean, Virginia. And this is just for personal preference. This isn't collectability or anything. This is a twilight blue.
Oh, you like twilight blue?
I love the
Okay.
twilight blue. The blues are my favorite colors. Oh yes, the Switzerland Insane Green is the other. Those are two of them, and then I think that number 3 that goes with the Model S.
Yeah.
That would probably be my third one.
Yeah. So if you remember, after the Chinese Roadsters that we had out there for months, that finally got a bid that was within the territory that the seller was comfortable with, it takes a while sometimes with these collectible cars.
Yes.
But the right collector comes along. So speaking of collectible cars, here's another one, VIN 1124, that just got listed on an auction site, Cars and Bids. And it's currently sitting at $33,000. This is the carbon fiber, visible carbon fiber Roadster. And I think we've got a picture of that one as well, Jesse. Let's see. It'll say VIN 1124. Let's go through those images too, and we'll see if we can help get this one sold. The first one is VIN 1124, yeah. And this one is not on our matchmaking site, and maybe won't be. It's up at Medlock Shop right now. And if you're listening, Carl, we'll put your car out there on our matchmaking site. I'll even send it to the 450 plus dedicated Roadster buyers. We'd love to put the car out there. We already have it on our website anyway because it was here for a couple, 3 years.
Right.
And it's under our gallery pictures. And it may just help this car sell. If this auction doesn't do the trick, that is. So the backstory on this is there is another image here, Jesse, which is VIN 1124 before. This was a car that was collision damaged. It was purchased by Joost de Vries, who worked for Tesla at the time, who wanted to build a over-the-top Roadster. So they put a number of interesting things into this car, and which include, let's see if I can find it here, the Terox high performance brakes, multi piston brake calipers for better braking system, which by the way for Roadsters is important because by the time you threw that 1,000-pound battery pack in there, the Elise brakes just weren't robust enough. It's got a custom anti-lock brake system that was flash tuned by Continental, a Hollinger Engineering limited slip differential, and apparently the only other Roadster that has this is Elon's VIN number 1.
Oh, okay.
And then it's got a custom Bilstein suspension, which is the company that originally made the Roadster shock systems, both for the non-performance and for the performance sport version. The attached Carfax on this auction shows that this was declared a total loss by an insurance company, so it does have a salvage title, but it has all of these other design features and history and provenance, which should well override this, stigma.
Yeah, it seems like $30,000 is just, it's a third of what this car should be going for. I don't care about the salvage title here. This is a special car.
Yeah. Jesse, if we can go back to the carbon fiber view of that, VIN 1124. The car first came to Gruber Motor Company in 2019, December of 2019, actually, and the backstory went like this. The car was sitting in Joost's, ownership, and the clear coat had begun to yellow. He decided, this car is collectible. I should really resolve that. So he sent it to a body shop in Los Angeles. And they did a splendid job of repairing the yellowing clear coat. However, the car got bricked. And so the car was actually transported to us by the body shop for a recovery. Well, it was our first 3.0 battery recovery, and the 3.0 packs were first released in 2015, 2016. We didn't have much experience with that particular cell chemistry, and it turns out that there were a lot of bricks that were compromised, even though it wasn't brick that long. The legacy packs that were using Panasonic Sanyo cells, 6, even 9 months, they're quite recoverable.
Right.
This particular car was not. And it turns out there were too many bricks that were compromised, a number of sheets. So we put it into the queue for a battery replacement.
Okay.
And at that time, the waiting list was long, very long. And the fundamental reason was Tesla was still allowing elective battery replacements, meaning if you had a good pack and you wanted a new pack because you thought you were going to get more life out of it, they would allow that. In the meantime, there were a bunch of brick roadsters that were sitting out there in that same long waiting queue. So almost a year and a half went by or so with no solution from Tesla yet. And it turns out Tesla eventually changed that ruling and said, all right, since we have so many VOR, vehicle off-road roadsters, bricked, we're not going to allow any more elective battery replacements. We're only going to honor replacements for the brick roadsters.
Right.
So it ended up that the car went to Carl Medlock's shop eventually. He happened to have a collision damage car that had a donor pack in it that was an R80 pack or a 3.0 pack.
I see.
And that got put in the car. So that's where it's currently sitting. It's up in Carl Medlock's shop up in Seattle, Washington. If any of you want to go see it, it's available to view. And it is driving, and you can actually test drive the car from what I understand.
Fantastic.
So that wraps up the show, except for a few questions here.
Yep, we have on X, we have Jack Greenstock says, I want to drive a Roadster so bad. I've tried every other model other than the Cybertruck so far.
Well, here's our offer to you, Jack Greenstock. We have a Tesla Roadster. It's a test mule, VIN number 711.
Oh, yes.
And people that come tour occasionally will take that out for a test drive. So if you come to our service center in Phoenix, Arizona, we'll let you experience a Tesla Roadster.
That'd be awesome. And then finally, Highlander on YouTube. What is the oldest Roadster on your social matchmaking service right now?
I would say that the oldest Roadsters most likely are the validation prototypes, the VPs.
Yeah. Do you think maybe the Teacup Roadster is the oldest one that we have on the website right now?
I would say so, VP24, because, and correct us if we're wrong, usually Thomas watches. Thomas is also a Roadster historian. He owns VP24, by the way. I believe that the Founder Series cars came after the validation prototypes. But if that's not correct, certainly let us know. All right. Well, I think we've had a good show, folks. Thank you for joining us. And remember, the shirt here will eventually be available. Let us know if there are any Tesla Roadster slogans you want on your shirt. We can even customize. Thanks for joining us.
Take care.